God bless you today, and welcome to our program that we call Coming Home. And you hear a lot of stories of how God changes lives today, and no matter what situation you may find yourself in, we believe that He's your Savior and that He's your answer. And happy Mother's Day today if you're watching the program live, and I want to thank you for all the mothers, and I don't know where the world would be without mothers, and especially Christian mothers that pray for their children. But today on our program, we have one of those mothers, and I thought it would be nice, a tribute to the mothers. And she went through a lot of stuff, but we've seen the faith of her holding on to the promise for her children, and we've been able to watch it come to pass. And Sister Candace, thank you for joining us today and agreeing to share some of the stuff that you went through. And I guess so people that don't know you had 5 children?
The oldest one is, am I allowed to say this? She's 46.
I don't know if she would like you to say it, but
46
we won't tell her
She'll
name.
Be 47 this year.
Yeah,
the oldest one.
So 5 children, and you raised them all in church. They grew up in church from.
Right. They all grew up in church and then immediately left church right after they were old enough.
Yeah.
She was the first to go. She
Okay.
went off, and one by one they all left, and at one time there was none of them serving God at the same time.
It had to be a hard time, or
It was hard, but I never doubted it. It was like once we dedicated them to God, I always felt like He was theirs. As much as I loved them, I knew God loved them way more than I did, you know. And so you just have to trust that He had a plan for him. It wasn't my plan.
Yeah.
I would have kept him nice and cozy, and I didn't want him to get hurt. I didn't want him to get in trouble. But that's not the way it had to go for them.
Yeah, and like you said, at one time, none of them were serving God, and I think several of them ended up in jail at one.
All the boys.
All in jail at one point. Severe car accidents, near-death experiences.
Yes, they all went through that. And it's hard when you're a mom to see them going through that. You've just got to hold on to what you believe.
Yeah.
You've got to hold on to what you know is true, that God, once they're saved, they are saved, regardless of how far they run. You know, it's like when they do DNA tests and you get adopted out and then you go back and do the DNA and say, oh, sure enough, you're a McPhee or a Brown or a Dwordy, you know, even though you've never lived around them. Well, no matter how far or how wide you try to get away, God's blood is always there, and He's going to come after you. You know, I held on to that. You know, that He knows where they are, even when I don't.
I think you said one time when all the kids were out, you talked to the pastor at that time.
Well, actually, he sent Brother Randy Cook to me, and I always knew they were okay. But he said, Brother Randy, come up. He said, Brother John wanted me to tell you that your kids are all going to come back. And he said, Nancy will be the first. And sure enough, that is what happened. Nancy came first, and then they all just trickled in.
But it was a long. I just want people to know it was a long time. Over 20 years. I know. Well, I mean, they left in their teens, and some not saved until their 40s.
Until like 5 or 7 years ago. I don't know how long until they were all back and serving God the way.
But one by one they came, and
one by one.
Hey, man. So you just. You know, I just thought it would be nice to have her share some of that today, and you know that if you're a parent out there or a mother and you're believing for your children, I ask her maybe to say a word to you as we close, but maybe there's, you know, it's just to hold on to the promises. And I think that, you know, and Sister Candace, what would you say to a mother out there today that maybe it's been 10 years, or maybe their child's in prison, or maybe, I don't, you know.
Well, I didn't know if I was going to even be alive when my kids came back to church. I often thought maybe they would be there, but I would be gone by that time. But I never doubted they would be. And I know that we all believe the same thing. We all believe for our kids. And I think God instills that in us, that belief that He wouldn't give them to us if, you know, just to say, well, you know, dangle them here and then you don't get them, you know. I believe that God gives us our kids for a reason, and that they will all be saved.
Amen. Amen. I like that today, and I hope that brings you encouragement. We're going to have one of the first ones, Sister Nancy, come and sing a song for us today. And, you know, it's never too late. And hold on for your children. Love them. Commit them to God, and just believe and wait for it to come to pass. May God richly bless you today.
me.